I'm David Turner. I'm a retired professor of the University of Kent. About 30 years ago, slightly more, 35 years ago, I designed and implemented a language called Miranda, which was a significant precursor of Haskell. It was first released in 1985, and by about 1989, it had stopped evolving. The last full release was in 1989. It has many of most of the list processing apparatus of Haskell comes more or less exactly from Miranda, and algebraic data types and so on. Haskell has a lot more things, but almost everything that was in Miranda reappears in Haskell, in many cases with the same syntax. So it's historically interesting. It was written in C. It compiles to SK combinator code, which is executed by normal graph reduction. It was quite widely used for teaching and research. Around 200 universities took out licenses until about the mid-90s, when it began to be replaced by Haskell. Haskell had two advantages over Miranda. One is that it was free, it was open source, and the other is that Haskell compiles, so it's faster than an interpreted language. Anyway, I was persuaded recently to open source Miranda because it's of historical interest to people, so I have done that. It's 32-bit code, and it was written to the C standard of 1989. Originally, it was Kernighan and Ritchie C. Anyway, I spent some time bringing it up to date to the latest C standard, which is either C11 or C18. There's not much difference between those two. And the other big problem was I discovered it wouldn't run on the Mac. It's 32-bit code. So I had to convert it to 64 bits, which was quite an interesting exercise because I was looking at 12,500 lines of code, which I wrote 35 years ago, and that's effectively looking at somebody else's code. I no longer remembered the thought processes. So I wrote some tools. Actually, I wrote the tools in Miranda to convert it from 32-bit code to 64-bit code. Inevitably, some things went wrong, which I had to fix by trying to understand my mind of 35 years ago. It does now work. It may still have bugs in it, but if anyone would like to test it, that would be very useful. It does compile on the Mac and on Windows subsystem for Linux and on Linux. You can download it from miranda.org.uk. You will see, just follow the link that says download. There's some older versions there, but the one you want is the latest version 2066. That's the one that is 64-bit code. It will compile to either 32-bit code or 64-bit code, depending on whether you say -M32. A hint is compile it first without any optimization. Don't use -O, because the garbage collector is somewhat fragile. It works by scanning the C stack to look for things that appear to be pointers into the heap. And that can go wrong because aggressive compiler optimizations can hide things that ought to be on the heap. So it's a tar file. You just extract. There's a directory in the tar file which you CD into. You say make cleanup first, which collects some information about the platform that it's on, and then just say make, and you should get an executable. Be grateful if people will try it out, and there's an email address for reporting bugs. I'm sure there are bugs in there, but about 10 people have tried it, and it seems to be working okay. For documentation, at the miranda.org.uk site, there is an overview paper, just called an overview of Miranda. There's a Unix manual page, and there is an online manual that is part of the Miranda system. In a Miranda session, you can say /H for help, and one of the things it tells you can do is to say /M to get into an online manual that has about 30 pages documenting everything. So that's all I have to say. Just invite people to download it and try it out and tell me anything that's wrong. Thank you.
Thank you.